Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome to a brand new video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to think like a confident person. Now, in this video, this is not about how to become a confident person or how to become more confident. We are going to get inside the head of someone who is confident, and we are going to understand how they think so that we can shift our mindset to think in that way. This video is I'm not going to be teaching about behaviors. I'm not going to be talking about like how do you gesture, how do you talk, how do you appear, how do you act more confidently, but this is about the thinking of a confident person. So we're going into the head. If you enjoy this kind of content and you're like, Eunice, give me more of this stuff, then make sure to hit the subscribe and the bell button and give me a massive like if you are liking this kind of content. And yeah, I'm going to be creating a lot more of this coming your way because I talk about all things like self-expression, self-awareness, self-discovery, like all things around the self. So you can become the best version of yourself. So with that said, let's dive in. The reason I created this video is because I have looked for all the ways to become more confident. And I was doing this for myself because I used to be like super nervous. It was nerve-wracking to stand in front of a group of people, to even just like say my name or introduce myself or do any kind of announcement in front of a group of people. When I looked for tips and exercises to become more confident, I realized that there are some things that are not addressed. And what I've realized is it's not about learning a new skill as opposed to actually undoing some old things in the past. And so what I've come to observe in confident people is that they don't actually think about being confident. They don't have to learn about being confident. But what they actually do differently is that they think differently, they operate differently, and they behave differently. It's like their minds are in a whole different place, basically not where I was. So I realized what I needed to do was not to look more confident or to act more confident or, learn any of that stuff. Not to learn to be more confident, but actually to think like a confident person. In my observation, and I have seen a lot of people in the past, I've observed a lot of people in my life, I've seen that the people who are truly confident are the kind of people who genuinely appreciate themselves. They love themselves, they adore themselves, they prioritize themselves first, and they generally have a really good relationship with themselves. Yeah, that's right. I actually think that confidence is a bit of a trap because in the past, I've been marketed, we've been told that confidence is something that you need to learn, like confidence skills. You've ever heard that expression, like confidence skills? You need to have some confidence skills. You've been told that confidence is something that you need to think about, you need to learn. But what I've come to realize is that confidence is not actually something that you can learn, but it's actually a byproduct of learning to focus on yourself and providing for yourself and loving for yourself and giving yourself what you need. And the only reason why some people appear to lack self-confidence is not because they haven't acquired the skills of being confident. It's because we've been told from our early years, from our childhood, to put others people's opinion of ourselves before our own, right? So we've been taught to focus more on others' opinion of us. We've been taught to make others' opinion more important than our own, than to actually focus on how we feel, how we think, who we think we are. So this is the reason why we've become self-conscious. It's not because nobody taught you how to be, confident in school or as a subject. It's because when you grew up, you've been taught how you feel, how you think, who you are. You've been taught to doubt yourself. So you've been taught to question yourself in all those areas. Well, it's no wonder that you don't believe in yourself when you think or feel or want to say something, right? You guys, this is the reason why you've become self-conscious. It's not because you didn't take it up as a subject in class. It's not because you haven't been taught to become confident. It's because when you grew up, you were taught to doubt how you think, how you feel, who you are, what you know to be true. You've been taught to doubt all of that. And so how could you become confident when you've been taught to doubt the things that you know, right? So let's dive into, how do confident people think? What I do know for sure is that confident people don't try to be confident. They don't think about being confident. They don't try to be more confident. They don't have to learn to be more confident, because it's not because they are already confident, but it's not something that they think about, because confidence is not something that they focus on. So you're like, okay, well, how do I be more confident? How do I learn it without trying, without thinking about it? But here's a catch. Confidence is not something that they think about. It's not something that they try to be, because they don't have anything to prove. They don't have anything to show. It's like I don't need to show you or prove to you that I'm confident, because the validation that these people seek is within themselves. So they give the validation to themselves. They approve of themselves. They feel good about themselves, so they're not trying to appear in a certain way. They're not trying to look more confident in front of other people, and as a result of that, they don't have to learn it and they don't have to think about it, right? Like, does that kind of make sense? So yes, it does seem a little hard to become something without thinking about it, but there are some things that we can shift internally about, like, how we think and feel about ourselves, so that we can adopt the mindset of a confident person. So it's more likely that you'll hear a confident person say, I feel good about being myself. I take good care of myself. I just love myself. I love the things that I'm doing. I love my life. I have a lot of fun, right? So this is very common in people who are confident. They feel good about themselves without thinking about self-confidence. So they're actually quite self-centered people, if you think about it. And before we throw shade at the word self-centered, let's look into the meaning of being self-centered, like the true meaning of being self-centered. When you're focused on the self, right? You're focusing on the needs of the self. You're focusing on your awareness. You're focusing on what you think. You're focusing on what makes you happy. You're doing what makes you happy. You follow through with what you need, and you act upon your own fulfillment. This is what makes up someone who is self-centered. Self-centeredness in its very nature has nothing to do with taking advantage of others and exploiting others. That's just what confident people do. They focus on themselves, right? So how does it reflect in their behaviors? They're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to ask for what they need. They're not afraid to draw and reinforce some very strong boundaries. They're not afraid to say no, and they don't do things just to be polite, and they don't people please just to make other people happy. And so their behavior is a reflection of the type of thinking of putting yourself first, right? They know what they like, and they know what they need, and they know what they dislike, they know what they don't want. And so the inner dialogue sounds a bit more like, okay, this is what it would sound like inside a confident person's head. What do I need? What do I want? What am I going to get? What am I trying to communicate, right? What am I trying to say? So this is the internal dialogue of a confident person, as opposed to someone who gravitates towards thinking about other people's opinion, which sounds a bit more like, okay, what would people think about me if I did this, if I said this, if I done, this thing. So this is more like the internal dialogue of someone who was not confident because they're not centered in themselves. This is how people end up, giving up on their own dreams. This is how people end up not pursuing what they want because of what someone else thinks about them. This is how they keep quiet when they actually want to say something, or they stay in unhealthy relationships just because they're afraid of judgments from other people, what other people might say about them. And they end up giving their needs in order to make other people happy. And of course, this happens in different degrees. It's not all black and white. It's not like one way or the other. You might find nuances, or you might find a hint of this here and a bit of that there. The bottom line comes down to when you start to neglect your own needs and your own preferences in order to fulfill the happiness of others, you start questioning your own self-worth. You start your self-image starts to be built around the opinion of others, and this is how your self-image starts to erode. This is how actually self-development industry eludes you to gain more confidence. It's like, well, you don't have to work on this part, but you just need to learn more self-confidence. And it's like, well, there's this next thing that I need to learn. But it's not about you needing to learn anything because you don't lack knowledge. It's like selling diet pills to the same group of people that you keep feeding sugar to. If you already take good care of yourself, if you already monitor your diet and you watch what you're eating, right? And so confident people focus on their own happiness. Because when you're fulfilled, you're living the life that you love, you know what you want, you follow through what you desire to do, you're having the time of your life, right? This is how your fulfillment can radiate to the life of others. This is how you can help other people when you are in a position to give, when you're so happy, you're just overflowing with love, joy, and abundance, right? And this is the kind of win-win situation where you want to give when your cup is full. You have so much to give. So you're not giving out of deficit. If you do not have this relationship with yourself and it's not at this level, you don't have to worry. Honestly, I don't think all confident people started up here. It all starts with giving yourself the time and attention to get to know yourself better. Not everyone are born knowing all their likes and dislikes. It's all a process, and allow yourself to surrender into the process of actually discovering, getting to know yourself better. So I'm going to give you a few things where you can start. Number one is start spending more time with yourself, right? This is how you actually get to listen to your preferences. You get to ask, what do I like? What do I need? What do I want? So that when you spend time with people, you already know what your preferences are without caving in, without always going with what other people want. You're very clear of your likes and dislikes. Number two is invest in your own creativity. And this is so important because when you create and when you put things out in the world and when you make things, you start to build the identity of who you are. You're contributing to the person that you are becoming. And so create things that genuinely excite you. Do you love, home improvement? Do you love painting? Do you love to create videos? Do you love to do reviews or give advice, right? Do you like training pets? The things that you like to do, allow yourself to indulge in them so that you invest in your own style, in your own means of creativity. This is how you build yourself. Number three is become aware of when you criticize yourself. It's like, come back, tell yourself to come back from the criticism and ask yourself if being hard on yourself and criticizing yourself, if that's really necessary. Do you want to make yourself feel that way? Okay. And number 4 is ask yourself, how do I attend to myself first? How do I address my own needs first? Do I do that? Or do I always put other people before me? Do I put everyone else before me? Do I put the whole world before me? Right? Before rushing to fulfill other people's needs and desires, come back and just give yourself that little space, like even like the 2 minutes, if you can find 2 minutes in your life to attend to your own needs first. Because this is super important. It's going to sound really insignificant. They're like little tweaks here and there. But if you give yourself that one tiny adjustment of focusing on yourself first, it's going to make a whole world of a difference of seeing yourself from the inside out and shifting your attention, right, from putting ourselves into the world, giving to the world, and giving the world the version that they like of us, instead of allowing ourselves to become who we truly are. That's all for today's video. I hope that this was genuinely helpful for you in reevaluating how do you want to think and how to feel about yourself. And tell me in the comments, are you going to start prioritizing yourself today? The more you prioritize yourself, the more confident you become. The more you know your preferences, the more confident you become. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next video.